Hey guys, I'm Entoma, and I'm here with Kaiser, who just won the regional flight at the YCS Indianapolis, and I'm here to get his deck profile.
Yeah, so in the main event, I went 6-3, had a stroke of very bad luck on the last match, just didn't see any summonable Vanquish monsters in all three games. So day two, decided to do some regional flights. I only had time to enter one. I entered one. I won it. Round one, I played against Floo and Ycs. Round two, I played against Purrely. Round three, I played against Zero. And round four, I played against Runick Chimera. So yeah, here's my Vanquish list. Starting off for NonEngine, we have 3 copies of Dimensional Shifter and 3 copies of Ash Blossom Enjoy Spring. Ash Blossom, you just have to play. It's a fire. It's a good card. I don't think there should be any Vanquishes without it. And haven't seen a ton of people on this, but Dimension Shifter, a very good card in Vanquish, especially in the new set. It kills a lot of the meta, and by a lot I mean tier limit, which can be rough sometimes, just getting RNG milled by them. Against Rescue Ace, makes so they have to draw the emergency. If they don't draw the emergency, the Bellstar Engine is dead under D-Shifter. And if you open both of these, then you kind of are guaranteed to win. Because if you ash the emergency, they don't really have a way to get to the Turbulence on field. And you just get rid of all their plays. And you can actually kind of kill with this deck in the new meta with all the new cards. So yeah. Next up, we have 3 copies of Vanquish Soul Cashier Offender and 1 copy of Rise Art. This card is insane, should be in every Vanquish list. Broken going first for attribute fixing, Broken going second for removal and, more interaction, playing through boards, material, all that jazz. I am playing the 1 Rise Art now. I did not used to play this card, I thought it sucked. But with the new cards from Age of Overlord, you really want fires in your hand. So a lot of times it's less so just getting attributes, but it can help with that. And more so just quantity of attributes, which you'll see in a bit. So yeah, that's actually it for all the NonEngine. For actual Vanquish Soul cards, starting off, the Bouncers. We're on 2 copies of Caesar Various and 3 copies of Heavy Borger. Caesar, you don't really always need the 2 copies, but it comes up a lot to have the second in deck to search if your first gets banished in any way or removed. Additionally, sometimes this is used as a card for another card, which I'll show down the line. Borger, same deal, but you want him more. He can draw you cards. He can burn. I win a ton of games with burning for Borger, not just in time, but also to finish off sticky boards. So, you can do about 5k in battle damage. And then you can Borger burn twice in order to actually kill your opponent instead of having to make it to your next battle phase. And the burn is also made more impactful via the new trap card, which also burns, but we'll get to that later. So yeah. Next up, 2 copies of the new one, Vanquish Soul Xalon. If I'd had space, I'd probably play it at 3. This card is very good. So it's a little bit hard to get the 2 fires sometimes. But if you do, it's really disgusting. You get to search for what you need on your turn, and then on your opponent's turn, you search for whatever attributes you're missing. Additionally, the attack changing effect, which is for 1 fire, came up a good amount. It stops Zeus plays. It stops opponent just trying to clear your board. If you use continue, it summons monsters in defense, but Xalon can switch them to attack, so it helps you OTK even easier. And also just the summon effect, reveal anything for Vanquish Soul. If you're under D-Shifter, say, and you're not going to be able to resolve the search effect, sometimes you can just, use it as link material to make the rock if you don't have a way to get rosin off the board. Or if you do have a way to get rosin off the board, say a Borger, but you want to keep the Borger, and the Xalon isn't doing anything, you can just summon that, use that as link material. And yeah, so the second one did come up a lot, and I would play a 3rd if I could. Next up are normal summonable Vanquish Souls. We have 3 copies of Rosin, 3 copies of Madlove, and 1 copy of Panthera, even though she doesn't really get summoned that much. Normal summoned, I mean. 3 Rosin kind of doesn't need an explanation. Most broken card in the deck. You really want to get them to win. 3 Madlove. I've seen people on less than 3, but you really just need summonable Vanquish Soul monsters. There are multiple games where you just don't have a monster that you can summon to get your big guys started, and you need to have them. And also, with a new trap card, sometimes even if you don't get Rosin access, you're just using Mad Love. Say you have Borger Mad Love Loop, where you just normal Mad Love search, Borger bounce Mad Love, Borger draw a card, opponent's draw phase, draw another card. You can get to 3 attributes without Rosin pretty commonly. In that case, you can use the trap card, and usually if you get the trap card, you're winning most of the time. Attack boosting, attack lowering effect actually comes up more than you'd think. It outs on targetable monsters, because it doesn't target, so it outs things like Dragoons. Helps you beat over stuff easier. And yeah, good cards. Moving on to spell cards. There's a lot of consistency cards. So we have 3 Staker Soul. We have 3 Prosperity. We have 2 Small World. And then we have one Rhoda.
It's a good Rhoda, man.
Yeah, good Rhoda. Nice Rhoda. Yeah, I agree. And 1 Durandal. Staker Soul, even better this set. Staker Soul plus a fire lets you get to 2 fires for Xalon. Because, even if you like open Rosin, you can reveal Rosin, summon Xalon, Rosin effect, search your second Xalon, link off into rock, add back, then you have 2 fires in hand. 3 pros, just good card, finds you what you need, can find you floodgates. Can find you floodgates if you already have your normal combo, you just wait until the end of it to use pros. But a lot of the time, I'll use it even earlier because I'd rather find a Fenrir. But if my hand loses to Droll, I usually wait to use Prosp. Rhoda and Durandal, another copy of Rosin, kind of another copy of Rosin. Durandal, sometimes not great, but it's pretty good going second, though I bring it out of the main deck a lot of times. Because you do need to have a monster to equip it to, but Fenrir helps with making that live. 2 copies of Small World. A lot of people don't like Small World. My counterpoint is that you need to get to Rosin or you lose. It also lets you switch out an attribute for a different attribute. And going second finds you, one-ups you need. If I was playing Kurikara, it can find you Kurikara. But a lot of the time, I'll Small World for if I have, say, 2 copies of Mad Love, get rid of a Mad Love, go into Borger, go into Fenrir, add Fenrir, and then Fenrir adds another card so you don't even go minus off of it. So yeah, really important. Next up, we have our Mad Love package. 1 copy of Continue, 1 copy of Dust Devil, 1 copy of Snow Devil. Continue, just good card. Don't go for the Continue play as much anymore because of Snow Devil, but it still can come up, and it's really good for long ride games. Dust Devil, this card is on thin ice. It's really bad into a lot of matchups, but it's still good enough that keeping it in the main has felt warranted. But if I were to cut a card from this deck, I would definitely be siding this card. I wouldn't cut it completely, but especially going second, it's just awful sometimes. And lastly, Snow Devil. This card is insane. You should be playing this card. It does everything you want. First effect, reveal any attribute, so you'll always have that live. You burn your opponent, and you summon a Vanquish from your hand. It just makes it so that if your rock gets hurt or hit, or you get nibbed and you can't make a second rock, you still have a way to summon your Rosin from your hand and get your engine started again. Second effect, immune to card destruction. Great, amazing. Vanquish kind of had a problem before where Dark Hole was just sometimes just made everything awful. So it doesn't protect your Rock of the Vanquisher, but another good defensive effect. And it applies for the rest of the turn, not just to the ones currently summoned, but any future summons. Third effect, Board Wipe, is insane. It does blow up your own Rock of the Vanquishers and Fenrirs and stuff, but it's just, sometimes your opponent starts running away with a lot of monsters, and your spot removal isn't going to cut it. So against decks like that, you can just save your spot removal. Snow Devil, when you're ready, blow up the board, and then summon a Rosin in the zone where you think it's going to be useful, and then you can search. And you can usually get the Caesar via that. So, in addition, it lets you trigger 2 Vanquish effects on your opponent's turn for the summon, so you can both use the Rosin to search immediate card advantage and the Mad Love to usually search Continue for more follow-up. And lastly, in the main deck, we have 3 copies of There Can Be Only One. Funny card. Not as good as it has been always. It's pretty bad against tier limits usually. Did come out for me once to stop tier limits cast Chimera while they had a Fenrir on field. but not great against that. It's okay against rescue. They can play around it if they know you have it, so you should save it for when they fire off a emergency if they have like a hydrant on field or whatever. But yeah, good card. Destroys rogue, which is the most important thing against like cheesy rogue decks, which just kind of run away with the game. Kind of stops them in their tracks. Also murders Dragon Link. So yeah, that is the main deck. Going on to the extra deck. First off, 3 copies of Rock the Vanquisher. You need to be on 3 copies. Good card, good for grind game. Yeah, not much to say. Next up, new edition. Super Star Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis. This card is so good. Your opponent clears your board, makes big board as being an issue for you. You can just special something, say they negate it, or they just let you get a monster on board, you summon Typhon. Very good against Purrely, especially if they make a Noir with the attack boosting effect. It turns off the Noir. But honestly, the biggest use case is for in grind games, if your opponent Zeus's you summon a monster, they're kind of forced to remove the monster immediately or risk you making a Typhon. And while it does lock you, you can't normally special after summoning it. It's good enough because it removes a problem card and usually attacks over another. So if they Zeus you just get rid of the Zeus, and you just chill for next turn, and usually it's enough if you're making this card. Speaking of Zeus, we have our Zeus package: 1 Shakanine, 1 Borbo, and 1 Zeus. The 4 material Zeus package is very worth it. This deck can make Zeus with 1 card via Rosin. Rosin summons itself, searches Mad Love. Link into Rock, Rock summons Mad Love searches Continue. Continue, bring back Rosin, overlay for Shakanine into Borbo, you attack, you make Zeus. So yeah, good line. I think you need to be playing it if you're playing this deck. Next up, we have Abyss Dweller. Tier Limit is in the meta, what can I say? Good card, good card. Next, Baguska. This is just, good for stopping. If you're behind, you get Drolled. Sometimes you get Drolled and you have 2 4s available. You just make Baguska and try to follow up next turn. Next up, we have Evil Swarm Exciton Knight. Now, this spot is kind of a flex slot. I decided I liked Exciton the most. Some boards you're not going to be able to attack in with Zeus, so Exciton can kind of force it out. But also against some boards, you can use the Exciton, get it negated by like an Imperm or something, go to battle phase, attack, and then you make a Zeus anyways for 1 activation. So it didn't come up this event, but it has come up a lot in the past. Considering this could be Big Eye. Big Eye is just pretty good card, especially with SP running around. So yeah, could be Big Eye, but I liked it, but I will definitely be considering that going future. Speaking of SP, we have a backwards card. I borrowed an SP for this event, but SP, I summoned it 1 time, and it was bad, because I Tiki Boo locked myself, because that's in a bad state. But testing after the event, it has come up a good amount. The biggest use case for it is activating Triple Tactics, taking the opponent's monster, and just linking off to make an SP to remove something and protect your board. So yeah, good card. Lingaribo. I didn't run into anyone playing at the event, but this just destroys any Ibly combos, especially the Rescue Ace Ibly combo, where they try and play around evenly. They're doing it less now, but if they do give you Ibly and they're on Rescue Ace, you just make this, you're not locked, and you can negate one of their trap cards. So we have the space, I think it's a good add. Next up, we have Nightmare Phoenix. Good card, outs Gozen really well. Now if you get Gozen on Rosin, you can Rosin on summon, search for Xalon, reveal the Xalon, summons the Xalon. They're both fires with different names, so you can make the Phoenix, which is also fire, and pop the Gozen match. Next up, Nightmare Unicorn. Didn't really come up at all, especially with SP around, but I think it's still a good card. Especially because sometimes you can just, if you have enough material, you can Unicorn into SP. But if you had a card that you really wanted to add and you couldn't find the space, I think that could be a flex spot. Lastly, we have Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Didn't come up for me this event, but it has a lot in the past. Against stalled boards, it can help clear those out. It's just for random towers decks that you can out. Don't want to lose to random Crooked Cook player, but also say you're like under a Baguska board, and if you switch the Baguska's position, your opponent's going to have effects to activate. There you can set up for a Goddess to link off their problematic monsters and negate the rest without allowing them an opportunity to activate them first, because you can use the Baguska as material for this. So yeah, that is the extra deck. Lastly, side deck. I am playing a thrust package, so 2 thrust, 2 tactics. That I borrowed one of my tactics, and for one ofs we have 1 Evenly, 1 Herald of the Abyss, 1 Lightning Storm, and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. Good cards. Herald didn't play against Purrely in the main event, but against it in the side event, and this won me a game with it won me a game where, you know, they looked at my hand, they saw the thrust, and, you know, they just knew that if they made any board, really, they'd have to play into the Herald. So they just had to not activate monster effects, and it worked out for me, because they just didn't want to trigger the Herald of the Abyss. But yeah, it's kind of weak against a lot of decks, but it's a good one of, just to be purely. Duster and Storm, they're just generally good cards. Tactics is a good card. Evenly didn't come up that much, but I hard drew it once and it won me the game, so it's still a good card. It's just less important now. Next we have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. This card is kind of stupid against decks it's good against. It just stops them in their tracks. It's actually good against tier limit now, because they're just more reliant on, you know, searching a lot from the grave. So stops that silliness. Very good against new Vanquish Soul, unfortunately. So, but it's good for the mirror. Yeah, just a good card. And then we have 3 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance. This was I was testing this as D-Barrier package for a while, but I realized, you know, there's so many people on Thrust, including myself. I've been seeing way less of Cosmic Cyclone in decks. And aside from Runick, not other decks. Other decks don't really have that much outs to it. Tier limits can hard draw the 1 quick play spell, but people are breeding really hard into Thrust right now, I feel. And this card showed that it was very effective at just stopping hands. You know? And lastly, the best card in the side deck, Dino Wrestler Pinkertox. This card is stupid, especially in combination with Fender. You just summon it, you attack over a problem on their board, you hold its pop effect for another problem. If you open it in Fender, usually you can summon the Fender, and then summon the Pinkertops. And then, you know, you can just go battle phase and just remove their entire board for free. And then if you're good, you normal summon Rawson, because you're that good. But yeah, that was my list. That's about it.